Hi again, fifth grade. Ms. Wiehl here to continue our lesson on energy flowing through an ecosystem. Last week, as you may or may not have recalled, we spent a little bit of time talking about food chains and food webs. Today, we're going to take it another step further and look at trophic levels and energy pyramids. So let's get right into it, shall we? All right. So I left you off on slide, I believe this is slide number 6, about trophic levels. So the word trophic means energy, okay? That's important to realize. So what is a trophic level? It is an energy level. What is the trophic pyramid? It is an energy pyramid. So remember that those words are meaning the same thing. So this video here, you're going to need to take time and watch it. We're not going to watch it together right now, but you need to realize that each step in one of those food chains, each step would be a different level in the trophic level system, okay? So make sure that you go through and you are looking at that. So for example, let's look. Here's an energy pyramid, or what they call a trophic pyramid. As you can see here below, it says it's an energy pyramid is a model that explains the flow of energy from one feeding level to another. Producers are the largest populations and the top predators are the smallest populations. So what we're looking at is the larger the size of that level of the pyramid, the more biomass of the organism that there will be. So for example, do you think that there is more grass in the world or more tigers in the world? Obviously, there's a lot more grass, right? Even if you were to collect all of the grass in the entire world, bring it in one space and measure it, right? It would weigh a lot more than if you took every tiger in the universe, on the planet, and gathered them all together and measured out how much they all weighed, right? So we're looking at the mass. Biomass means mass of living material. So when we're looking at the bottom level, we're looking at just producers. As you can see, there's all sorts of plants in that bottom level. So that's the producer level. And you see it's the largest level. So you're going to find a lot more biomass in there. And you're also going to find a lot more energy. Why? Well, because remember that they are the original creators of sugar as energy, and they use the energy from the sun. So they're going to be the first ones to actually create the energy. They're the producers, so they have the most energy, okay? They often set it up as a pyramid. So let's review some other vocab words. The next level, you see ladybugs, some insects, a rat. Those would be our primary consumers because they would be the first ones to eat. Okay, the first ones to get to that plant energy. So those would be primary consumers. And we know there's a ton of bugs. There's a ton of primary consumers over the world. They have a pretty high biomass. With each level, you see they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Think about how much food does one of us humans need to eat, right? So think about how much food needs to be available, okay? On the third level, we're seeing a possum, frog, a woodpecker. And if they are the second ones to get to the energy, we call them secondary consumers. On the next trophic level, we see snakes and foxes. They would be our tertiary consumers. And at the very top of the pyramid, at the apex of the pyramid, we have our apex predators. Remember the top dog, the one that pretty much doesn't get eaten by anything else. Okay. All right, so let's look at the roles that we might find organisms living in my favorite ecosystem at our backyard, the Everglades. So take a moment here to review your vocab. As you see, there they are again. And let's look at just this image, okay? So starting at the bottom over here, we see the sun, okay? And we know that that's the original source of energy. And the sun can create energy for organisms that can take its energy and turn it into food. So those would be plants. So I see the energy arrows are going from the sun to plants, okay? Different types of plants. Okay, let's look at this plant here. That would be our producer. Plants are producers. They make their own energy. Now, we know that organisms are going to eat plants, right? Look at, for example, all of the primary consumers. A fish might eat the plant. A gnat might eat the plant. This grasshopper could eat the plant. The snail could eat the plant. They would be our primary consumers because they're the first ones to eat that plant energy. Okay, so let's say the plant gets eaten by a gnat, okay? They're the primary consumer, but let's say the gnat flies into a spider web and gets eaten by a spider. What role would the spider be playing in this food chain? It would be a secondary consumer because it's the second one to get to the energy. Now, let's say that, and we see that the spider looks like it may be also the apex predator of that food chain because, as you can see, it does not get eaten by anybody else. In reality, we know some of these other organisms will eat spiders, but just according to this image, you can continue. So like I invited you to try it last week, see how many food chains you can come up with from this Everglades food web. Now, one thing that I have to say is they don't include any birds on this, and birds are huge in the Everglades. There are tons and tons of different types of birds. So this is not a complete representation of the Everglades food web. It's much, much, much bigger than this, okay? There's a lot of animals that live there. Okay, so now it's your time to try it. Create an Everglades food web. And if you click here, there's a little video that may be helpful for you, or you can do some research on the topic. So watch this video and create this pyramid in your notes, okay? We will be reviewing this in our live sessions this week, okay? So think about, and they have them listed in the levels, your producers. You're gonna put your producer here in the first trophic level. Primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and your apex predator, okay? Also, the reason that we see there's less and less and less doesn't necessarily mean biomass always, but also could represent the amount of energy, right? Think about it. If there's 100% energy in grass, right? Because it made its own energy because it's a producer. If I eat the grass, interestingly, the grass uses all of that energy, but when I eat it, I will be left over with about 10% of that energy, right? So if somebody else eats me, they'll only get 10% of the energy that I have, which is only 10% of the energy that the grass has. So we're seeing a decrease in energy as we travel up the levels of the trophic pyramid. Okay, so we are on to our review. Okay, so my suggestion, watch this little video. It's less than 10 minutes. Okay, you don't have to do it exactly today, but do that this week. And you're going to learn or review the following things. First of all, you're going to need to realize that a food web is a model of many food chains interacting with one another. Any type of food, right, whether it's meat or plants, right, can be traced back to the sun. The sun contains the original energy that powers this entire planet. Also, organisms called decomposers, like earthworms, they have the ability to break down dead materials and restore the nutrients from those dead materials back into the soil so that plants can grow and we can continue our flow of energy. What I'd like you to do also is I'd like you to try in your notes to answer these following questions. Why do animals eat other animals? What are producers and consumers, and how did they get their names? What role in the food web would an eagle play? What is an apex predator, and why are they critical for the health of the ecosystem? What do zebras eat, and what eats zebras? What is the role of worms, bacteria, and fungi in the food web? And what are some human actions that we do which can affect food webs, and how do we impact our energy flow in our own ecosystem? So these are some important questions that you're going to try and answer. And by the way, if you're struggling with any of these questions, please reach out to me or your science teacher for a little bit more help. All right, last few slides. This is a brain pop video. And of course, it has a video that you can watch about energy pyramids and an accompanying quiz that you can try to test your knowledge about these trophic pyramids. And this little study jams, also another video that you should watch for review with a nice little quiz at the end. Okay, and last but not least, in your PowerPoint, you'll see those vocab words once more. So please make sure you are making your flashcards, you're studying those, and having a beautiful day. All right, that's it for this week. So I'm signing off for now, and see you soon. Have a great week. Bye.